And we're live with Paranormal Dash Spirit. Okay, you want to do it? You do it this time.
Okay.
Do it.
And we're live with Paranormal Dash Spirits. Sorry. I sucked.
You want to try it again?
Yeah.
You haven't had a lot of practice. Go ahead and do it again.
And we're live with Paranormal Dash Spirits, where we like to get our booze on and talk about the booze with our favorite booze. Do I know?
This is the reason there's a second string.
Do I even know my own slogan? Apparently not.
Okay, how about
I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to let you do it. No.
You start off with, and we're live.
And that's all?
Yeah, and then I'll take it from there.
Are you going to snap?
Huh? I can.
Okay, snap. That wasn't. And we're live
with Paranormal Dash Spirits, the place we come to get our booze on, talk about the booze, the things that go bump in the night, and I get to do that with all my booze. I'm Mike Black. This is my wife, Alyssa Black.
Hello.
My best friend, John Burkett.
Hello.
Happy birthday, John.
Thank you.
It's John's birthday.
Happy birthday. Yesterday was John's birthday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. I'm sorry. And by the time... Since we record way early, by the time they actually see this, it'll be way past your birthday. You'll be like a year older then.
It's August 1st, if anyone wants to sing Yes for next year.
Okay. And tonight we're bringing you a story about this...
Sorry, my earring is sticking me in the back of the neck.
Are you all right there?
Neck. I got it.
Is it me or is it darker in here than usual?
It is, because I think he usually leaves that light back there on.
I do. You want to do it again? It is kind of darker. It's going to be really dark.
Okay, I'll go turn it on.
Okay, you go turn it on.
Well, we can just keep it rolling.
Y'all keep going.
Now, we'll start over. So tonight we've got a story for you about this mountain up in Northern California called Mt Shasta. And this thing has everything. It's got like Bigfoot. It has aliens. It has alien abductions. Make sure you hear that, YouTube. Alien abduction.
Whoop, there we go.
Yeah, right.
Wikipedia citation.
Yep, there we go. Get another one. Alien abduction. It has disappearances. People just vanish into nowhere. But before we do that, we're going to talk about all the other places you can see us besides this podcast. So if you're listening to us on a podcast right now, you can go to YouTube. And on YouTube, we are 3B Paranormal Spirits. 3B
There's
Paranormal
so many
Spirits.
now, it's hard for me.
3B Paranormal Spirits on YouTube. And that way you can see what we look like and how goofy we act and the funny faces that we make at each other while we're doing the podcast. We also have a Facebook group. You can go to Booze with Benefits for our Facebook group. Join up and you'll get to hear about all the podcasts before they come out. You can go to and check us out on Instagram. Now on Instagram, we're paranormal-spirits, but it's paranormal _ spelled out DASH _ spirits. It's the same for TikTok. Ooh. It's the same for Twitter. And then we have a website. You can go to our website, and that's paranormal-spirits.com. And the dash is not spelled out there. It's just the dash, the minus sign. And once you get there, you can get to all the other places like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the stuff.
All the things.
Also, we got this cool swag site that you can go to, and you can pick up your dad cap, or you can get your coffee mug, I guess we could put that up. Beanie, your trucker cap, your racerback tee, and these come in like a bazillion different colors that you can get, so you can pick whatever color you want. Also a bunch of funny t-shirts on there, like get the sage, and doctor says I got gargles, can I get them burned off?
John said the P word.
John said the P word.
It's Pazuzu.
Yeah, there
he goes again.
He said it again.
Saying it again.
You know, it's a protector of pregnant women in Bishop Babylon. It wasn't a bad thing. In
The Exorcist, it was a bad thing. But anyway, that's all the places you can go and see us. Now, as a tradition, and because this show is about spirits, And before we start every show, we start off the show with a drink of the night. And tonight is a very special night because it's day after John's birthday. Mm-hmm. So we have a very special drink tonight. So John, take it away. Tell us about what we're drinking.
We have Tamdhu Batch Strength. This is the 7th edition batch strength of Tamdhu Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey.
Okay, so what exactly is batch strength?
It's kind of like barrel strength in bourbon.
So which is?
It is a higher proof.
Okay.
It is bottled at a much higher proof than normal.
So that's a nice way of saying that we will be imbibed by the end of the show.
I'm not going to... You probably saw it since you bought the bottle for present, but what the strength is, but...
I did not look. Alyssa said...
I don't think that you...
Alyssa said, John wants this. And I'm like, well, my God, if John wants it, John gets it. So...
I'm a gifter.
Yeah. Alyssa said you wanted it, so we got it. The end.
This is the same juice as the 12-year, but there's a select barrels they've pulled this from and bottled it at barrel strength. And
what is barrel strength though? I don't know. I've never read about it.
When whiskey comes out of the barrel, it's a much higher proof than
what's
bottled.
They watered it down. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Usually, Scotch is bottled in the low to mid 80s proof wise, or the low 40% ABVs.
Okay,
somewhere 83 to 86 proof. As we found out with Brooklotic Classic Laddie, though, that can go a little bit higher than that. And,
is that the episode when we drank Classic Laddie that Alyssa?
She was wasted.
She was wasted by the end
and
of the show.
that one was only.
So we're just going to call you out. You were wasted.
I was.
That one's only.
I mean, wasted's kind of wasted's kind of because I really was
wasted
completely.
Is a strong word.
I knew everything going on.
You did.
I was walking completely straight.
You were.
However,
your tongue.
The longer it continued to be absorbed in my bloodstream, as in like when I went to bed, then I was swimming.
Yeah, I noticed that your tongue didn't work as well as your feet did, though.
Nope. Did not.
So,
I'm picking on Alyssa.
This one's stronger than that.
Great.
Oh my God.
Wonderful. It's a 57.5%.
Yeah, it's 115 proof.
A what?
No,
that's why the cost is the way that it is.
Oh man, look, I've had bourbons that were 130.
Really?
120, 130, yeah.
They taste like lighter fluid.
I've drank Everclear before, and I've drank Moonshine, but...
you can't get Everclear that high proof anymore.
Oh, really?
You can't get what?
Everclear that high proof. I've had 151. Well, they don't make Bacardi 151 anymore, but you could still buy, I think it's Pussers, and Black Seal makes 151 proof rum.
Huh.
Right.
So this is batch strength 007, 57.5%.
So it should be all the flavors that you're from your regular Tamdhu, but amped up.
Full bodied.
Because of the...
Because they didn't water it down.
Because it's not... I mean, it's still probably watered down. Probably comes out of the barrel 150. But... If you ever go take a distillery tour, they'll pull some with that little glass. They pull it out of the barrel for you.
Yeah, you can tell that it's higher.
Put it right in a Glencairn. The aroma's a little different. It's a little more...
Now, is this going to be peaty?
Candy-like. No, there's
no peat.
In this. No, this is a sherry matured in Oloroso sherry casks from the bodegas of Jerez, Spain. And there's no peat in this at all.
We can read what it tastes like after we taste it.
Okay. So
I got almost a chocolatey kind of thing off that nose, but
Slancha.
Whoop, there's a little dried fruit apricot or something like that.
Ooh.
It's not that hot, though. It doesn't drink hot at all.
Well, at all.
I don't know about at all.
Well,
You're not hot and my not hot are two different not hots.
There's a little burn to it, but it's not bad.
Yeah, if you just drink Bartles and James or something, that might be a bit of a kick in the teeth. Right?
Right. If you're not used to drinking liquor, then no, this would.
But it doesn't taste any hotter than the 86 proof stuff.
No.
It does make you a little warm inside, though.
It's a little Scottish hug.
Well, it is.
That's what that
Hug
is.
in a mug. Hug in a glass.
I do.
All right, so taste it again and I'll tell you what it says. With this full-bodied liquid, you'll discover a chorus of berries, roasted nuts, caramels, citrus, and spice.
Well, now, it breaks it down even more on the side of the nose. Cinnamon oak, then a praline. That's what I got that.
The praline.
Praline. And vanilla sponge.
Spong.
I didn't get that, but I got the praline. I got the initial whiff was, that's what that was. I was trying to place in my head that kind of
not
like
chocolate.
That's really fruity to me.
on the palate, raspberry pavlova. Now I have no fucking clue what a pavlova is. I think that's a dog that rings a bell when
No,
he
that's
wants.
Pavlov.
That's like a tennis player, isn't it?
Maria Pavlova.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I believe it's a pastry. It sure is. It's a Swiss meringue. Excuse
Ooh,
me.
Okay, I get that a little bit. Water brings apricot, lemon, and a fresh wave of oak. Now I'm not putting water in that.
Oh, I could do that.
But
We put water in it one
Yeah.
time.
We put a couple of drops in that Lagavulin just to see what it was like.
that's more than a couple drops.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
You just made it 80 proof.
That's no problem.
The finish, oak spice gives way to baked figs and freshly peeled clementine, which I assume they're talking about oranges.
Yeah.
No color added. So this stuff, the scarce wood bears two great gifts, color and taste. The deep copper hue of Tamdhu batch strength is developed by the cask and nothing more. And each drop owes its rich, complex taste to its oloroso cask home. Finally, batch strength is bottled unchiltered at high strength. A magnificent Speyside single malt for the sherry wood connoisseur.
I think that for me,
That praline now can't get out of my head on the nose. Now that I've read that word, I'm like, yes, it's exactly what it smells like.
and for me, I don't see a lot of difference
Taste.
taste-wise between this and the
Original.
other Tamdhu that we tried. Was the 80 proof we tried?
I think it's
12
like
year?
86.
86.
That's a 12 year?
Mm-hmm. Tamdhu 12.
Yeah,
It's 83 or 86, somewhere
I
around
don't
there.
see a big difference there. I will say that
It's a little rounder to me, like a little.
It's 86.
I will say that
86.
for your savant self.
Nailed it.
that this one has a longer finish. It stays with you longer.
I agree.
You know, it's like,
My mouth's a little numb.
well, I wouldn't say that, but you know, when you drink Tamdhu and it's like, oh, that's really good, and you're like, I'm tasting all these different flavors. But with this one, it hangs in there just a little bit longer.
You know what that would paired real well with? That peach pie.
Mm-hmm. That's a good peach pie. Props to HelloFresh. So I will tell you the price point on this is between $110 and $115.
Or 87 pounds, as it says here on their website.
It's $110.
And it's worth every penny, I
That's
think.
good.
Yep.
That is really good.
So, and how much was just the regular Tamdhu?
The regular Tamdhu.
71 is
71?
what I paid for it. Yeah, down
Yeah.
here was 71.
It's
So,
according to this, it's 70. So yeah,
okay, so I would say if it were me,
you're gonna pay twice the price for that.
It's not quite twice. Well, I could just
70 and 70. Oh, it's 140. My bad.
okay, you said 115. I
About
thought.
115 is about 110. I think is what we paid.
Okay, so between
He knows this, by the way.
Oh,
we
yeah,
were looking at them
Yeah,
ahead
I
of
was walking
time.
to
We
John
were
Scotch,
all
I
at
was
the
like-
yes, we
I
were
was
at the
like,
liquor
Look how
store.
much better the price is here than it is in Tyler. Right.
So I would
Cologne
say
made
that
out of
I would get the regular Tamdhu. For the
Would you?
difference in flavor profile, I don't think there's enough that I would just say I mean, yeah, there is a little bit more, and I guess if you're an absolute complete connoisseur,
Or
yeah.
if you want the extra
Or if you-
pizzazz
or
of
if
the
you want the extra
ABV.
pizzazz of the ABV, or if you just want it to last longer, because there is a little bit more complex flavor, I think, to this than there is the 80, obviously, because of, the watering process, But I think, I mean, if you're not a huge connoisseur, I just spend the 70 and get the.
Yeah,
12.
if you're not a
80 proof.
snob, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
I
definitely.
wouldn't turn either one down.
This nose, though, I want cologne.
I can get the praline.
Ooh,
Yeah, you can definitely get the
that,
present.
Yes.
that nose is fantastic.
It is.
So if you're a connoisseur of it, I definitely recommend this. This was a special gift for John. So we
John's
typically don't go
a Scotch snob.
down
kinda
such the
sometimes.
rabbit hole for these, but this one's a good one.
I'm not a Scotch snob, but I have been turned on to peat now, though.
I know.
I
I
love
really
me
enjoy
some
it. I
peated
would have told
Scotch
you I
now.
never would have because it's so iodine and it's almost like Band-Aids.
I
Yeah,
know,
but
it
once
does. The initially thing is a Band-Aids and iodine and
But it's definitely one of
Salt.
those that as you expose yourself to it over and over again, it's
I'm
I
telling
guess
you,
it's
I'm
kind
digging
of like
it.
beer when you're young.
you'll have to play
Yeah.
around with that. Try an Ardbeg, try a Lafroig. See all the different peat tastes from different parts of the island.
I could do that.
Yeah, and I realize I probably spoiled myself starting off.
Started off with 16-year-old Lagavulin.
16-year-old Lagavulin, but
Some
it's
people
like-
don't like. Some people like because it's not quite as punchy as other things. But y'all been drinking that for Pete's sake stuff from, and
dude, it's
Total Wine.
that is a
Yeah, Total
really
Wine.
high peat count in that. It's really.
And I
good.
like it.
Total Wine, and it is
I
a
chose to drink it
strong
yesterday.
peat flavor. I will say this: after drinking, we drank probably close to a half bottle, and what I have noticed is that the mouthfeel on that
It's not
is nothing like
It's not as rich.
It's not
like
as oily as
Tamdhu or
Yeah.
Classic
You
Laddie
can tell
or
it's. But I was saying it.
Lagavulin.
Lagavulin.
Lagavulin, you can sit there and watch the legs.
Oh, yeah, there's no
roll
legs
for
on for
days.
Pete's sake.
it's,
But
it's a real watery feel. You don't get the.
but if you
oily
like peaty
mouthfeel.
Scotch on a beer budget, it's
Yeah,
a good
I mean-
alternative.
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
it's
that
not.
bottle
that
was-
stuff for $21. That is
Dude, you can't
amazing.
beat that.
Yeah,
You
it's not
cannot
bad
beat
at
that
all.
price for that good of
Yeah.
a
And
flavored
I
Scotch.
wonder where they're sourcing that from somewhere on Isla.
Yeah, and I watched something about it, but I can't remember now. It's they've got that Scotch and they've got one other, and I don't remember what it was, but there's basically two that they have that they do, and this is one of them. So
Well, this is definitely one of them.
Mm.
That's good. That's
really
stuff.
good.
It's bottled in Scotland by Angus Dundee Distillers.
And you're talking about Pete's sake.
For Pete's sake.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, not the
Not
Tamdhu.
Tamdhu, no.
Okay.
Get him to the Dundies. That's an office reference.
So, dear, is it your turn to take us to the story
Hey,
this
let's
week?
go. I'm ready. So
Mount Shasta.
Mount Shasta. Okay, like I promised, we're going to Mount Shasta. Now, Mount Shasta is 14,000 feet above sea level, and it's one of the tallest in the United States, I believe. It is so tall that it has its own. It creates its own weather because it's so tall, and located in Northern California, and it's actually a semi-active volcano. And the reason they call it semi-active
Does it
is
growl?
when its last eruption was in 1250.
Oh.
Now, I didn't realize we were keeping records back then and how they know that,
I think they use some science shit to figure that out.
I'm sure there's some science shit involved in figuring out that it erupted in 1250. But anyway,
Some radiocarbon dating
50.
and whatnot.
and there are tons of different Native American legends about this eruption, and and I could go into that and do a whole show just on that, because there are several different ones, but I'm going to kind of gloss over that and move into some other stuff. But they talk about how these two different gods, one from the earth and one from the sky, got in a fight and was chunking flaming rocks from the top of Mount Shasta. So in their legends, they talk about the last eruption. Now, they do talk about what is interesting to me, and on especially on our podcast, excuse me, is the sky people, and they talk about the giants that roam Mount Shasta, and the Native American tribe, the Modoc tribe. They have a name for it. It's Matakagmi. And Matakagmi is their name for Bigfoot. Now, here's what's going to really trip your trigger. The Tibetan word for Yeti is Metokangmi.
Well, that makes sense.
So
because you've got thousands of years ago,
the land bridge.
They're coming from the same people. I mean, it's the same, yeah.
So the word has,
You can trace the DNA back across the land bridge.
Exactly. It's kind of like the way the British mispronounce aluminium.
Aluminium.
Yeah, when we know it's aluminum.
I say aluminium just
because it's funny.
I watch so many British Britcoms and whatnot.
Because it sounds cool.
It makes me sound more educated. Aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium. Okay, we digress. But anyway, I thought it was really interesting, though, that their word for Yeti was nearly the same
linguistic tie is fascinating.
Right, it is. So you have, for the Modoc people, you have Matakagmi. For the Tibetan word for Yeti is Metokangmi, or Kangmi. So anyway, there have been stories about Bigfoot there at Mount Shasta since the 1920s. I believe it was 1924 was the first report of Bigfoot at Mount Shasta. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Nope.
I always think about the tape with the Gimlin film.
Patterson
Gimlin, yeah. I always think about that when I think about. But that wasn't in. Yeah, I was going to say that wasn't until the 60s when that came out. So.
But there were stories coming out of Washington say there's still a place at the foot of Mount St. Helens called Ape Canyon, and that story goes back to the 1920s.
Yeah, there's been stories that go way back, but the first one mentioned at Mount Shasta was in 1924. In 1930, a skeleton was found at Mount Shasta. Now, I don't know what happened to it and all that, but this skeleton.
The government took it to hide.
I don't know, but
part of the cover-up.
In 1930, a skeleton was found that was over 8 feet tall, and this was covered by all of the newspapers in the region. And of course, it wasn't on the internet back then, but it was in all the newspapers. They had pictures of it, and I'll make sure that I show one for when we do the YouTube video. But in 1962, a hiker sees a Bigfoot giving birth.
For real?
Yeah.
Man,
so he says. How
come nobody has that happen to them with this HD camera in their hand?
This was in 1962.
Right, but they've given birth many times since then.
Well, yeah, obviously. Right? Probably all the time.
Yeah.
And
I figure it's probably throughout all the states, probably a population of around 6,000 or so individuals at least.
You think? I mean, I don't know.
Of Bigfoots?
Yeah.
Big feet? Bigfoots.
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Okay. 1976, a camper was laid in bed in his tent. He wasn't like in a camper, but in his tent in the park there. And he heard a park ranger roaming around outside his tent. So he's like, what's this ranger doing? He assumed that it was a park ranger.
Oh, he didn't see like the funny hat or
no. But he looks outside his tent and it's not a park ranger. It's a Bigfoot walking through his camp. So I mean, and there's just story after story after story. These were kind of unique because there was one like in a camp and one giving birth and
birth. That's
that is a miracle.
That is
to
life.
witness the miracle of birth, but
I was going to say,
Bigfoot.
the miracle of birth is a miracle regardless.
Right, but then for a person to see a Bigfoot doing it, or did they squat or did they lay back like?
Did he go into detail about the birth?
I don't know if they had the stirrups or anything, but he didn't say.
Or they call it out that it's crowning. How dilated was she?
So, moving on. Let's talk about the Lemurians. Have you ever heard of Lemurians? And they're not lemurs.
Yep.
Nope.
Lemurians. Okay.
Yep.
So this was another interpretation of what the giants might have been that roamed the Mount Shasta area. And the Lemurians supposedly, according to legend, had prospered for thousands of years and had done very well and more advanced than we are now. And J.C. Brown claimed to have discovered the lost civilization in 1904 while he was working as a geologist for the Lord Cowdrey Gold Mining Company. And as he's up there and looking for gold, and he finds this cave kind of entrance. Turned out it's a tunnel. This tunnel was 11 miles long, and he hiked the whole thing. And what I thought was really interesting was it's like 11 miles. Well, man, that's a long way. But Mount Shasta was a volcano, so you had these lava tubes, and lava pockets and things like in air pockets and things like that in there. So there's all these caves there and stuff like that. So he went down this lava tube, defunct, of course, 11 miles. And at the end of this hike, he found machinery used for mining. He found weapons, statues, tablets, and something that appeared to look like hieroglyphics. Beyond that, in the final room, he called it a worship room that held statues that glowed in the dark. So I don't know what they were, but they glowed in the dark. And in this worship room, there were, he said, 27 giant skeletons, and they were displayed around the room, and they ranged in height from 7 feet to over 10 feet tall.
When was this?
This was in 1904.
Okay.
So Brown, not knowing what to do about this, he closed it up and hid it. Well, he became obsessed with this book, and this book was by James Churchward, and it was called The Lost Continent of Mu. And it is the stories about Lemuria and Atlantis, or the Atlanteans. And they got into a battle. And this was a book published in 1899 by Frederick Spencer Oliver. It was called A Dweller on Two Planets. And it tells about what was written in these ancient Hindu tablets. And he tells the story of the battle between the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. And basically, the Atlanteans wanted to rule. Lemurians said, no, we want to take care of ourselves. Atlanteans wanted to have complete control. They got into a battle, and the battle was so devastating that it destroyed both of their, basically, continents, small continents. And the Atlanteans ended up in this place called Agarth, and the Lemurians ended up underneath a mountain. So J.C. Brown thinks he has discovered where the Lemurians went to. Excuse me. So, anyway, moving on.
So nobody ever went back to go see if this is true?
Wait, so I see something about this. I don't know if
Lemurians?
you know about this. Know about J.C. Brown.
Okay.
So he told his story 30 years later to John C. Root, who proceeded to gather an exploration team in Stockton. Right, about 80 people joined the team, but on the day the team was to set out for Mount Shasta, Brown did not show up. Brown was never heard from again.
Dude, they searched everywhere for
Really?
him. Yeah.
So he just vanished off the face of the earth after they put together a team.
So for 30 years, this guy has held on to this information. Now, he doesn't remember exactly where it is, so he gets all these group of researchers, scientists, explorers, and they're going to go find this, right? So the day of, like John was saying, they're going to go, and Brown doesn't show up. And they said, well, he was just a fraud and a shyster and all that. So, to what end?
But never heard from him again.
Yeah, he never, ever,
vanished off the face of the
vanished
earth.
off the face of the earth.
Probably not the first person to vanish off the face of the earth from Mount Shasta, from what I've heard. But.
So, what gets me, though, is...
So, did he stumble across some secret, then, is what people are thinking?
There's a couple of conspiracy theories.
So this would have been 1944 when he disappeared, right?
Yeah.
So, or no, 1934.
34.
Right?
There are people that say he was taken off in a machine.
As in a UFO?
Yes.
Okay.
There are other people that think that some group, powerful group, shut him up.
The government.
And disappeared him.
The deep state was around back
then.
We just got another citation from Wikipedia.
I'm sure.
Deep state.
Right. So,
maybe some Indian people.
Huh?
Like one of the Native Americans. Oh, there's another one.
Maybe the Lemurians came and got him and took him with him.
Well, it's funny, this giant stuff, because they found a lot of West Coast Native American tribes have tales of redheaded giants, cannibalistic redheaded giants and all kinds of.
And there was the cave. It was in Arizona or New Mexico. I forget, one of those two. I'll have to look it up later. But
you talking about the cave where they found the bones?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I want to say New Mexico.
New Mexico, I think. Yeah.
And then the Kandahar giant was a red-headed giant.
Right.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, here's my thing. If J.C. Brown had done this for money, if he just scammed people out of money and...
Could have got some money from it.
Yeah. I could see him doing this, and, hey, I need X amount of dollars so I can go and dig all this gold up, right? Or find this place again. That'd be one thing, but he never did that. He never tried to get any kind of remuneration, no cash for it, nothing like that.
He should have drawn the map before.
Yeah, when he found it.
I don't know.
At least giving a map to this John C. Root fella.
So there's a guy out there now who says he has found this again. And
really?
The problem is that the opening is on somebody's private property. And
on the mountain.
Yeah.
There's private property on the mountain?
Yeah. And he hasn't released it. So
that's odd. Why is it past there? I would have thought this would be like a national park or something. There wouldn't be any private property on this mountain.
Why? I mean, there's all kinds of private properties on mountains.
There is?
Yeah.
Well, but on big...
How many mountains have you been on that are private property? When we went to... I
haven't been on a lot of mountains.
We went to Oregon and you were snowball fighting with Adlin.
Mount Hood.
Yeah. And there's a private hotel right there.
Oh. But, but if I thought that I had the entrance to J.C. Brown's cave and stuff, I mean, I would allow certain people in to explore that. I wouldn't keep that hidden.
Maybe he's paid off by this group.
Maybe maybe it's somebody else hiding it. I don't know. I'm just saying. So anyway, there's all kinds of these stories. David Politis.
Missing 411.
Missing 411. Missing 411 hunted. I mean, the guy's got, I don't know how many out there, but...
He has made a post-police career out of missing people.
I know, and it's crazy. All the missing... So I picked a few crazy ones that are really wild about Mount Shasta. And the first one...
We love you, Dave.
Features a robot grandmother.
Huh?
Yeah, okay, so anyway... I forget the date on this, and I don't think I put it down. But so anyway, there was a family, and they were on a camping trip on Mount Shasta, a family of 4. And one evening, while the 3.5-year-old toddler and his sister were sitting by the fire, the sister looked away for just a second. When she looked back, her brother was gone. And I mean, just poof, vanished, right? Okay. The family immediately started searching for him. They enlisted the help of nearby campers. They got the park rangers involved, the forest rangers. They combed the area tirelessly from the late afternoon to early morning until the dogs eventually found the boy hidden in a bush along a trail that they had already been down searching. So they'd already searched this trail, all down this trail. And then
The heat coming off that really, I mean, good Lord, I'm getting cooked over here.
Okay.
It's like sitting in front of a fireplace.
they'd already been down the trail. And then when they went down again, the boy's there hiding under a bush. Anyway, that would have been awesome. So let's say the sister looked away longer than she thought she did. The boy wandered off into the woods and then sat underneath a bush by a trail. Except that a few months later, while the boy was staying with his grandmother, he made a curious comment. He claimed to dislike the other Cappy, referring to the grandmother whose name was Kathy. When questioned about it, he mentioned at the time he was lost in the mountain, and he recounted how the other Cappy, who appeared robotic and shimmering in the light, had taken him to a cave filled with spiders, guns, and purses.
Okay. That is an odd assortment of shit to find.
Do what?
In a cave.
Spiders, guns, and purses.
Now, this we have to remember, though, this 3.5-year-old kid. So, what he may be describing
Spiders, guns, and purses.
as spiders, guns, and purses, if to a 3-year-old, that tripod sitting there might look like a spider. So maybe it was something sitting on tripods.
Guns and purses are just guns and purses.
And maybe that's left over from people who have
Other people who
disappeared.
Hunters.
Right.
Hunters
That have
and,
disappeared on
and shoppers with their handbags.
women, whatever.
Women.
Anyway, so he's taken to this cave, and he said not only was Cappy there, but these other robots that were lined up motionless against the wall, which makes me think about J.C. Brown
Giants.
when he talks about the giants, skeletons lined up against the wall, and the statues that were against the wall that were between 7 and 10 feet tall. So anyway,
This was when?
I don't have the date on it. I'm sorry. I'll put it up along the bottom or something. So
Okay.
when I
I was just
find
curious
it, but
the difference in time.
yeah, I don't remember the date. I apologize. So 2021. There you go. So if we were to assume the story's authenticity, it'd be highly improbable for a fully functional robot to exist on Mount Shasta.
Why?
I mean, they're just not there yet. I mean, even
That you know of.
yeah, but even Boston, is it Boston Dynamics? The people that are building all the military robots.
Yeah, the death bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
just the stuff they let the public see.
Right, but anyway, so it's highly unlikely though. Still, I mean, and according to the boy, the robotic Cappy informed them that he originated from outer space and had been implanted using the word tummy in his mother's stomach, like alien DNA implantation.
Oh, yeah. Well,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
And the robot allegedly requested a stool sample and extended a sticky piece of paper for collection. Evidently, this young man was a shy pooper and did not supply a stool sample. Or at least he didn't admit to it.
This is still the 3-year-old boy.
Right.
Tell you what, if I saw all this stuff, they wouldn't have to ask me for the stool sample.
Even
Okay.
at the age of 3, John.
Definitely.
Okay, so the robot led the boy down the mountain and instructed him to hide under the bush until he was found. So the boy's grandmother shared this story with his father. He confirmed hearing the same account, but dismissed it as mere imagination. However, The grandmother had her own strange encounter on Mount Shasta a year earlier. While camping with a friend, they observed red eyes peering at them from the wilderness.
Nope.
The eyes vanished whenever they shone their flashlight upon them, and throughout the night, the eyes reappeared in different positions around the campsite.
So that's not eye shine. That's not a Bigfoot.
Not red.
Not red.
Well, it should be green on the shine, but you would only get eye shine if you're shining your flashlight in that way. If there's no light
And it's
being
red.
reflected from the eyes, then that's being generated from the object
Being internally.
internally.
So anyway, the following morning, both the grandmother and her friend woke up on the ground outside their tent and camper. They discovered her neck was hurting. She said she reached back there and it felt like she thought she had been bitten by a spider.
Wait a minute.
was
Spiders,
implanted.
guns, and purses.
Right. So they discovered 2 small puncture marks resembling spider bites on the back of their necks and experienced severe sickness akin to hangovers despite not consuming any alcohol. So they weren't doing booze, and booze.
They did not have.
This could not be said
Tamdhu
for me at
Bastard.
this
They
moment.
they did not have Tamdhu.
Speaking of which, just a little extra
So
nip
the
of that.
grandmother's previous encounter combined with the boys' account raised concerns. It led to speculation about the existence of a mad scientist, witch doctor, or similar entity on Mount
Witch
Shasta.
doctor. The witch doctor.
But anyway, so that's one of the crazier stories.
Ooh, ting, ting.
Wabba rama ding
Walla walla
dong.
bing
Wada
bing.
bada.
Yeah. So and then there's Carl Landers, and you know that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Carl Landers, this old fellow had been hiking forever, and if I remember correctly, Carl had hiked every mountain
In California.
in California. That's a lot of peaks, you know. But he hiked, and this dude is like in his 60s, I guess.
Yeah.
And so he had hiked every mountain there. Mount Shasta was the last one that he was going to hike.
He was actually 70
70.
when he
Okay, I
disappeared.
apologize.
He
When
was
disappeared.
69.
Okay, so
How
That's-
old was he?
yeah, so he was in
Sorry.
his 60s, right?
Yep.
He's still listed as a missing person.
Yeah, they never found him. But anyway, he's going up the mountain with I think 4 of his buddies or 3 of his buddies.
Three. I think it's a party of 4.
Yeah. So they start up the mountain, and Carl had gotten altitude
Oh,
sickness.
yeah.
And so, when they stopped at Camp 4, and so he stops there, but the next morning he hops up bright and early. He's ready to go, and he's much more adept at hiking than his friend. So he said, "Well, I'm gonna just take off. I'm good to go. You guys catch up to me as you can."
They're down by the lake or whatever, the little.
Yeah. So he takes off.
Lake Helen.
Lake Helen, thank
Yeah.
you. And he takes off, and and then he's not there. He's just gone.
Gone.
When they get to 5, and I mean, it's not like
It
he's
wasn't
wandering
that-
off.
It's a white field, and you can
Yeah.
see the footprints,
It's just a trail.
and they just stop.
Yeah,
He's gone.
he's gone.
Like the earth swallowed him up whole.
Or something swooped down and grabbed him,
Or he walked through the portal.
or he walked through a portal, or
Vortex is what I hear the term used up there.
whatever it was. Something happened to him because and they came out and they searched. They brought out helicopters with infrared. They brought out the National Guard was out there, U.S. Forest Service, rangers, volunteers. Literally hundreds of people looking for him. No sign, nothing, not clothes. Not tattered garments from where a bear had ripped him apart. Nothing. The guy literally fell off the face of the earth.
I don't think. It was snow at the time,
Right.
So you wouldn't have had a bear. It would be grizzlies and black bears, and they would not be up there at that time of year.
Yeah, not normally in snow.
No.
They do come out sometimes, but it's not. It is abnormal.
Yeah.
And there was no way somebody could have come in and snatched him or, kidnapped him.
Be footprints in the snow.
And there was one guy that said he saw an old man that was walking, but he couldn't confirm if it was Carl or not. And that's crazy to me.
That might have been the Count of Saint Germain.
Man, I don't know what it was,
Carl.
but it's crazy about all the different disappearances there. So then we move over to Maurice Doc Demetz.
Woo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to put a little Steve Miller thing in there. I know you hate that song.
Oh, I do hate that
Call
song.
me Maurice. Woo.
So this was an elderly man living in Colorado who had dedicated his life to being a minister, held a PhD in theology, and he loved to climb mountains. But he had run into some health problems and had arthritis really bad. So he had a friend that would go along with him and help him when he would climb and go up in the mountains. Well, he liked to go and hunt for precious rocks. So Topaz was the trip that they were going on this time. And his friend walks up there with him and gets him set up, and he's hunting for topaz, digging. The friend goes over, and he's in another spot about 50 yards away, which is not that far. And he comes to get him later on, and Doc is gone. And this is after, he'd been checking on him periodically throughout the day. Guy was gone. And additionally, Doc's backpack containing his digging tools were also missing. No signs of blood or any evidence of an animal attack. So David, his friend, made his way back to the car and he started honking for help, shouting. Finally, the authorities are notified that this guy has gone missing. There was an extensive search with bloodhounds and literally hundreds, again, volunteers. No trace of Doc was ever found. And this guy literally was on a, flat surface up the side of the mountain. But, it wasn't horrible terrain and 50 yards away. You can easily see someone from that far
It's
away.
150 feet.
Yeah.
It's half a football field.
Yeah. Anyway, he disappears, never found again. His disappearance remains a mystery to this day.
And who is that?
This is Doc Demetz.
Doc.
He's hanging out with Carl in the Lemurian cave.
Maurice Doc
Yeah,
Demetz.
the skeletons.
With the spiders and guns and purses.
So,
So people are just disappearing. Which, that's not uncommon for a mountain, right?
Well, it is, except that, like Doc and like Carl's case, I know, like, he was a couple hundred feet away from, there's no way. This is a flat field of snow.
Right.
and I've heard multiple accounts of the first story, where that little boy disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad was out there. And his dad literally... no, I'm sorry. I'm mixing these stories up. There's another one. The dad... There's two boys, and they're playing, right? So he calls the boys in. It's time
on the mountain they're playing.
They're on Mount Shasta. He calls the boys in. He says, hey, y'all come in.
To the campsite.
Let's get by, let's get here. It's getting later. I want you in close. The little boy is literally behind the tree like this, looking at dad, peeking at him. So the dad gets up because he called him and he didn't come over there. Dad gets up and walks to the tree. Literally, he said it was like 20 feet away. He walks to the tree, looks around the tree, and the boy's not there.
There's a bunch of crazy stuff like that in the.
He literally just disappeared.
Did he come back?
No.
He's still missing. Unlike purses, spiders, and guns.
Yeah, that one came back. Okay, now, in 1958, there was Bobby Bizup. Bizup. And this was one of the one that got a lot of attention. This is, it was 1958, and it was a 10-year-old boy living in Colorado, and he was nearly completely deaf and relied on hearing aids. So Bobby came to a devoutly came from a devoutly Catholic family, and that summer the family decided to send him away, I can't talk, to a Catholic camp for boys located at St. Malo Church inside the Rocky Mountain National Park.
That 115 proof's getting to you, isn't it? 115 proof's getting to you. Y'all giving me all this crap.
I know what you're talking about, this particular story. Yeah, I remember this one from Pilatus.
Yeah, and this is not Shasta, but it's in the same vein.
I know this one. The camp counselors were looking for.
I
remember this one. And
so,
hand me your glass, and
thanks.
Make your words slur even more.
Okay, so the camp was situated at the base of the mountain, so the boys could always see the camp and a stream that led back to it. The stream served as a reference point in case any of the boys got lost.
Okay, sorry.
So, on August 15th, around 6 p.m., this is 1958, Bobby was fishing along the river a little ways up from the camp, and a camp counselor came up to the boys to call them for dinner. He saw Bobby's acknowledgement, and he said, "Hey, come on back. It's time for dinner." Bobby said, "Okay, I'm coming." The counselor walked down to the camp. He turned back to check on Bobby, and he was nowhere to be found. Coming straight down the river, this river that led out of the mountains down to the camp. Bobby disappeared in that distance, and you could see the camp from where he was fishing. So the counselor went back. He's gone. A search was immediately initiated, involving over 300 people, including military personnel. But despite the extensive efforts, no trace of Bobby was found.
They did find him later, though, did they?
At that time.
Right. Okay. I knew he was found.
10 days later, the search was called off due to lack of any leads. However, some of the camp counselors continued searching the area during their free time. It was a year later when 3 counselors decided to explore a difficult-to-access area that had been previously searched, 5 kilometers west of the camp.
What's that in American? About 3 miles?
About 3 miles. And nearly 800 yards up a steep incline. They discovered Bobby's hearing aid, fragments of his clothing, and some of his bones. The rest of his remains were never found, leaving a mystery surrounding his disappearance. This kid was 300 yards or less away from the camp, could look down the side of the mountain and see it. So it's hard for me to believe that he got lost. I just don't get that.
Do you think he was just snatched?
I think something, whatever is snatching people, snatched him. That's what I think.
A lot of people think that.
What do you think,
And they
John?
never found him again, right?
A lot of people think these
It was
are Bigfoot
a year
related.
later.
Dead?
Well, they found bones.
Bones. I'm sorry.
They
I
found
heard
bones.
That.
You
Okay,
know
I'm sorry.
there's that other boy that disappeared, and they think maybe a cougar took him, maybe. But some of these are possibly blamed on bad Bigfoots,
Mm-hmm.
Especially the hunter ones. Like,
Well,
I mean, Sasquatch got to eat too.
So,
and,
some of the accounts that I've been reading and listening to, there was one where there were 3 kids. One of them was snatched out of a tent. Okay, check this
that
out.
requires opposable thumbs, so you know what did that.
Snatched out of a tent. It reached in and grabbed the kid up underneath their arm and ran off. Okay? And the kids described seeing a bear.
Bears can't do that.
Well, no, they can't, and that's my point. But this thing, but to a little kid, adrenaline's pumping. They're scared to death. Something just grabbed Bubba and ran off with him, and just a little up underneath your arm and gone.
That Bigfoot's raising,
That was a Bigfoot.
That Bigfoot's raising him as their own.
Is that what it is?
Probably.
They probably ate him.
I don't know. I don't know if they would. I mean, just like humans, there are bad
And they are good.
and there are good,
That's right.
and there are indifferent. And I don't think that the indifferent or the good would snatch a child up, take it away, and eat it unless it was starving.
I
Not
don't
the child,
think.
the Bigfoot.
Well, another thing, I don't think that morality plays into that either, where it would with maybe a human.
But there are people, adults, who have stories of being picked up, carried, taken, and then let go later.
Yeah,
being
well,
cared for by Bigfoots.
I remember one of the first things that I read about Bigfoot was a French trader, fur trader, and was kidnapped by a Bigfoot. That was his story. The guy's hair turned white overnight. I mean, when
But it didn't hurt him.
when he came back. No,
Because out of fear.
out
That's
of
what they're
fear.
thinking.
Out of fear, and he was
Probably
in an
the smell
encampment.
might have turned your hair white.
he was in an encampment, and there was a whole family of these
Right.
Bigfoot, and this was pre-Revolutionary War, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And
The French fur traders in the far west, that would have been a long time ago.
East.
1730s, 1740s.
yeah,
So
east.
big.
So not west, but east. Yeah,
Well, they were out west too.
he was in the east. This
But,
story that I was reading.
I mean, I guess if you're there and Bigfoot's got you around, with the family group, you might as well just hang out and learn about their culture and stuff.
They didn't hurt him.
You might as well absorb as much as you can.
He jumped in the water. Remember correctly, he jumped in the water, swam, and then he was picked up by other guys going down. I want to say it was the Erie.
That's a canal. That's a
right.
That's a man-made body of water that was made long after the Revolutionary
And
War.
then maybe one of the other
Hudson
tributaries
River
or rivers or
possibly
whatever.
would be a good option.
But-
the Hudson River, there was a lot of trapping along that.
But this guy was so. But I mean,
It's an odd place to see a Bigfoot, though. It's not somewhere. There's not a lot of eastern. So there's some in Vermont, some in Maine, like in the upper parts of Maine, which is almost Canada.
Mhm.
And but
Here's
you
a-
don't hear a lot of East Coast, Northeast Coast Bigfoot stories.
maybe they're sneakier there.
Well, the trail cam footage of the ones picking up the apples,
Uh-huh.
that's quite clearly not a bear.
Right.
That came from Vermont. But Vermont and the upper part of Maine are very woodsy.
Right.
Whereas most of the East Coast is pretty
Well, you have
populated.
like the Pine Barrens.
Oh, yeah. They got
I mean, so
will
there's-
the Jersey Devil allow Bigfoot to hang out in its territory?
Yeah. Hey. Maybe he rents. Maybe he summers there. I don't know.
And there's the Jersey Shore. Will the situation allow Bigfoot
Yeah. I don't know.
to party at T-shirt time?
Party
On the
at
Jersey
T-shirt
Shore.
time.
But it's all these different things are happening on Shasta, and especially recently, there's been more and more video footage captured at Shasta of flying saucers. There's video footage where the saucer flies into the side of the mountain.
Well,
It just-
Paulides took helicopters up there, and they found what looks like there's a black cliff face that looks sort of like almost like a door. I have to rewatch that, but there's like an entire hour that he did on just about the Carl Anders
Oh, really?
disappearance, and he actually took helicopters up there and filmed all that side of the mountain and everything. And I wouldn't go up there. I don't want to disappear. I'm not scared of the Bigfoots. I'm scared of the portal or whatever the hell makes people just
Vanish.
But and this has gone on and on and on and on for decades now that people just disappear up there. You have Bigfoot. You have the flying saucers, UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them. These portal anomalies.
I think people are walking through a vortex or a portal of some sort. They're going into a different dimension. They can't find their way back.
This is like. Are you talking like poltergeist?
No. Well, I mean, I guess that's weird. But I'm thinking,
Well, you know,
more
in
like,
poltergeist, where
I think that
she walked through the wall and
right, but I think there's a portal or some sort of vortex that leads to these caves and this underground system under Shasta where the UFOs come from and stuff. But if a person wanders into one of those through one of those portals, they don't know how to open that shit back up. They don't know where to, they're just lost and they probably die in some cave somewhere down
maybe
there.
maybe the door's not there on the other side.
Right. It's not there on the other side.
It's like
could be. I mean, you could have a shift,
Yeah, maybe you can see the door here and you walk through.
You go in
it's a
here,
door.
you end up on the other side of a mountain in a cave somewhere, and you don't know how to get out, and you starve to death and die. That's
Cave
You
sloth.
starve to death and die.
Cave sloth sits there and eats you while you're over there.
I don't know if it goes through time to where there would actually be cave sloths, but
I mean, you could get into some really weird conversations about that because, I mean, the whole portal thing.
and is someone taking like trifield meters just to measure the EMF? I bet that thing makes EMF go crazy.
I don't know. I hadn't read anything about that, but
Kind of like it's kind of a Skinwalker Ranch type area,
well, yeah, it is absolutely
an
because
area of high strangeness.
because all kinds of stuff happens there.
Yeah, there was something about how there was a report that Carl Landers, fell.
There's nowhere to fall where he disappeared
I
from.
know.
Yeah,
There's nowhere to fall.
But I'm like, if you didn't know where he went, then how do you know he fell? Like, how do you know somebody...
Where Carl Landers disappeared, it'd be easier for you to disappear on our street walking to the end of our subdivision.
Yeah, because there's a curve down here. There's no curve. It's a big, giant white field of snow.
Yeah, it's a giant white.
Yeah, some guy said
giant
that
field.
earlier in the
Hundreds of
day,
yards.
he had said he didn't feel well. So they said, well, you go ahead and get started.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I'm going back down to the base.
I wouldn't be up there in the first day, please.
Well, yeah, I know.
This is some dumb white
He
people
said
stuff,
he was
climbing
trying to
mountains.
hike the highest points in every county in California.
He had hiked all the mountain peaks in California except for
Yeah,
Shasta.
because he was hiking the highest ones.
Shasta was the last one, and he didn't. Well, maybe he did. Who knows?
Maybe he
did make
summited.
it.
Maybe that portal came out on the summit. Then there's it opens up to another side, and you never know where that thing's going to open up at. And maybe it opened up 100 feet above the summit, and he just splat. Who knows?
And I think of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Maybe
Man,
once he
sweet Neil Diamond reference there.
yeah, maybe once he
What is happening? Oh shit! It's midnight.
maybe once he
Sorry, G-Shock. Just
once he passed through, it was like, or once he had made all the accomplishments he was going to make, he was just, moved on into the next level of existence. Maybe he didn't have to die because
I like
He
to
mounted
think
every
that
mountain.
he is somewhere in another dimension, another reality. Maybe he's stuck. Maybe he's trying. His wife's still alive. His wife visits him, but
oh really?
maybe who knows? Maybe she was an adder or whatever, and he's happy to be there. And maybe he saw such wondrous things that he never thought to come back. But I don't think he just walked into something and died. Mm-mm.
No, I don't either.
This place is
This dude is
something's off there.
he's an extremely experienced climber. This didn't. This wasn't like you or I or Alyssa going up on the mountain and
We'd be screwed.
we'd totally screwed.
I'd never make it that high.
I'd
That
fall off
oxygen
the side
would
of it.
I'd be gasping for air.
Oh, right.
Third of the way
I know
up.
I would. This guy was a legit climber, and he disappears.
So would you go up there? Would you even go halfway up? Would you go?
I wouldn't go there, honestly.
I wouldn't either. Something really uncomfortable about that place for me. It gives me the willies.
It's kind of like the Alaskan Triangle. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, You go. To
It's like
Bermuda
South
Triangle.
Dallas.
Probably have actually like South Dallas,
I wouldn't go there either.
North Tyler or South
Oak
Dallas.
Cliff.
Yeah, North Tyler, South Dallas. Yeah, no. Oak Cliff, no. So if anybody's listening from those places, I apologize.
It's a joke.
But no, it's not. I wouldn't go to South Dallas.
Well,
Not on purpose.
Duncanville.
Passing
South Dallas.
through. Passing through.
Extreme South Dallas.
Yeah, I could do it passing through. I wouldn't want to like hang out there.
So that's a no on a Shasta.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
I don't. There's something that gives me the willies about the place, and it has. And I think it's something. It's not Bigfoot or. There's
You don't think it's a Bigfoot? You think it's
well,
more
I mean,
of a
I'm sure
portal?
that there are, but I think there's something under that mountain, and it's something beyond
Something
our
taking
understanding.
people.
You know, and
It's sort of like I said, like a Skinwalker Ranch type place.
there's certain things that I just won't do. Tug on Superman's cape, you know, spit in the wind, go to Mount Shasta, you know.
I go in the
Play with the Ouija board.
Hoya-Baciu forest before I go on Mount Shasta.
I would go to Hoya-Baciu, yeah, but I wouldn't go to Shasta.
No,
I just wouldn't. No, I
I-
really wouldn't.
I think, well, but for me, the difference is like the forest versus the mountain. I am not a snow-covered mountain climber with
No, they're just-
crevasses and
That's
such,
just asking to get disappeared.
So something I
or
always
lose a
say,
limb.
That's like
Yeah,
walking through.
I'm not trying to do that.
How do you keep from freezing to death on the top of Mount Everest?
I don't know. I'm not a hiker.
Don't
Well, you-
fucking go there.
I know. I'm not a hiker.
How do you
Exactly.
keep from being instantaneously crushed in a massive decompression of a sub looking at the Titanic?
Too soon.
You don't go.
Oh, it's too soon.
Yeah, too
You
soon.
don't go.
Too soon. It's kind of like why I will never be eaten by a shark.
You don't go
You know,
swimming.
I'm not going swimming out there
Well,
with
you
sharks.
go
are.
in salt water though.
But
But you know what?
To my knees.
I don't go at dusk or dawn when they hunt because I know when sharks hunt.
right. All right, so I'm gonna hunt for me some Tamdhu.
Definitely, if you enjoy Scotch and you enjoy a very deep, I mean that is complex.
It is.
Good
It's
stuff.
an amazing nose.
Yeah.
I love
It's really
smelling
good.
that.
Okay,
Definitely hunt for that.
yeah, I will go find me some Tamdhu.
You do not have to go all the way to the top of Mount Shasta to find it.
No,
You do not.
but I will
Alright.
not go to. I will not go to Mount Shasta. Alyssa, will you hunt for Tamdhu?
I'll hunt for Tamdhu. I'm not hunting for the portals or guns, spiders, and purses.
Well,
I love purses,
have
but
to
I ain't
say,
going.
Okay, so
Spiders, guns, and money.
so this cave up there is filled with purses. Would you go?
No.
Purse is full of gold.
Okay, well maybe.
Okay, how about this? Purses on sale.
Purses.
Wait,
See,
wait.
I love sales.
See?
I do love sales.
What if you had J.C. Brown's only map?
Would I go? No, I'd sell the map.
Oh, that's smart.
I would sell the map.
That's safe thinking.
Yeah.
Safe thinking.
All right, y'all have a good night. Don't go to Mount Shasta, but do go after some
Sláinte.
Tamdhu. Bye bye.